Welcome to a tale whispered on the wind, of courage found not in battle, but in a choice for peace.
The heavy silence before dawn is unlike any other, a tense breath held in the chest of a land weary beyond words. The horizon lies shrouded in mist, the first tentative light casting long shadows across the broken earth. Here, on this battlefield strewn with shattered spears and fallen banners, the air is thick with a mixture of damp soil and the faint coppery scent of old blood. It is a silence that speaks of exhaustion, of loss, and of choices yet unmade. You stand amidst the remnants of a great army, ragged and warm, faces etched with lines of weariness and disbelief. The soldiers clutch broken swords, their armor battered, their spirits bruised. They had marched to battle with dreams of glory, visuals of a decisive victory that would end the cruel reign of King Malric. But what they witnessed instead was a defeat no enemy could claim, a withdrawal born not from fear, but from a choice that challenges the very meaning of war.
General Alaric stands apart in the crowd, a figure both resolute and mournful. His armor is dulled by the grime of campfires and long marches. His eyes carry the weight of countless lives he could not save. In his hand he holds a map, its edges singed and stained with the red ink of blood, both literal and metaphorical. A map that chronicles not just land, but the true course of command. Born to a blacksmith's humble home, Alaric had known early that strength was not merely the heft of one's blade, but the courage to carry the burdens of others. His rise through the ranks was not fueled by ambition alone, but by a steadfast belief that the sword must serve justice, not tyranny.
The kingdom of Valdoria lay fractured, torn by decades of conflict, with King Malric's iron fist crushing all dissent. His soldiers marched relentlessly, razing villages and silencing voices with brutal efficiency. The people's cries echoed in the hollowed chambers of power, unheard or ignored. In the War Council chamber the air was thick with heated debate. Lords and generals clashed, each voicing visions of conquest and domination. Lord Terran, a proud and unyielding noble, thundered for an all-out assault. "Victory or death," he declared. But Alaric's voice cut through the din, calm yet commanding. "Victory gained by slaughter is no victory at all," he said. "If our triumph brings only more suffering, then what have we truly won?"
His words sowed discord among the council. Many saw hesitation as weakness. But Alaric knew the price of war, not in gold or land, but in lives extinguished and futures shattered. As dawn broke, Alaric faced the grim reality of the coming battle. His soldiers, many mere boys, looked to him for guidance. To one, clutching a worn amulet, he asked softly, "What do you fight for?" "For my family," the boy whispered. "Then fight for their future, not just for today's bloodshed," Alaric replied. When the enemy appeared, Alaric ordered a deliberate retreat. Shock rippled through his ranks. To withdraw was seen as betrayal. Yet it was a sacrifice born of conscience.
In the royal court, King Malric's fury knew no bounds.
Branded a traitor, stripped of honor, Alaric faced execution. Yet before the blade fell, he spoke, defiant and clear, that victory without justice was hollow, and peace without mercy was a lie. His death became a legend, whispered among the oppressed and sung in secret gatherings. His sacrifice was a beacon, a reminder that true strength lies not in conquest, but in the courage to choose compassion.
Though erased from official history, Alaric's legacy endured, carried in the hearts of those who dared to dream of a better world. The castle loomed in the distance like a spectre of forgotten glories and bitter intrigues, its grey stones weathered by countless winters and soaked in the blood of ambition. Within its towering walls, the corridors echoed with whispered schemes, and the throne room awaited a man who dared defy the crown. General Alaric entered the hall with measured steps, chains clinking softly against his armor. His once proud banners had been torn down, his name erased from scrolls and ledgers. Yet beneath the weight of disgrace, a quiet dignity clung to him like a second skin.
King Malric sat upon his throne, his eyes burning with cold fury beneath a crown too heavy for a man so cruel. His voice cut through the thick air like a sharpened blade. "You have betrayed me. You have abandoned your duty in the hour of need. How do you answer to this treason?" Alaric met his gaze unflinchingly. "I answer as a man who values the lives of his people above empty glory. To win a war that leaves ruin in its wake is to sow the seeds of future bloodshed." The courtiers murmured in outrage, some clutching their weapons, others folding their arms in disdain. Yet no one could deny the conviction in Alaric's voice, the unwavering strength of a soul who had borne the unbearable weight of command. "Your words are poison to the crown," Malric spat, "and poison will be cleansed by fire. For your crimes you shall face death, an example to all who dare defy the king's will." As the sentence was proclaimed, Alaric closed his eyes for a moment. Memories flooded his mind. The faces of the soldiers he led, the villages spared from destruction, the silent prayers of those who hoped for peace.
He thought of the boy with the amulet, the dreams of a future unmarred by war. And in that fleeting moment he found solace in knowing that his sacrifice was not in vain. The morning of the execution arrived, cloaked in a pall of somber grey skies and biting winds that seemed to mourn alongside the gathered crowd. The square before the castle was filled with faces, some hardened by years of war, others softened by hope and sorrow. Children clung to their mothers' skirts, and elders bowed their heads in silent prayer. Alaric was led to the scaffold with steady steps, his chains a constant reminder of the price he was to pay. His eyes met those of the soldiers who had once followed him into battle. Their gazes were heavy with grief and disbelief. To them, he was not a traitor, but a martyr, a man who had chosen the unbearable path for the sake of humanity.
Before the executioner could lift his sword, Alaric raised his voice, clear and unwavering. "Remember this day, not as the fall of a general, but as the birth of a legacy. a legacy that will whisper to those who hear it that peace is worth more than conquest, that mercy is mightier than the sword. The blade fell swiftly, silencing his voice, but igniting a fire in the hearts of those who bore witness. Though Alaric's body was still, the spirit of his defiance soared beyond the walls of the castle, into the annals of history. Whispers of his sacrifice spread across the kingdom, carried on the wind by merchants, minstrels, and common folk. Songs were sung in taverns and hearths, tales told in secret to inspire those oppressed by cruelty and injustice. His name, once struck from the records, began to re-emerge, spoken not in fear, but in reverence.
Years slipped by like leaves on a restless river, but the story of General Alaric refused to fade into oblivion. Beneath the surface of history's official tales, his legend grew, an ember glowing in the hearts of those yearning for justice. The king's decrees could erase names from scrolls, but they could not erase the memory etched into the souls of the people. In quiet villages, mothers recounted the tale to wide-eyed children. In shadowed corners of inns, rebels found strength in his defiance. One such voice belonged to Aemon, a humble scribe who dared to write the true story. In the flickering candlelight of his cramped chamber, he penned verses that stirred the conscience of a kingdom. Not in the clash of swords alone, nor banners raised in vain, but in the choice to spare a life, true victory remains. Aemon's words wove Alaric's legacy into a tapestry of hope, reminding all that courage is not measured in battles won, but in the sacrifices made for peace.
The years wore on, and with them came change, slow, often painful, but inexorable. The kingdom, scarred by generations of war, began to breathe anew. Fields once blackened by fire sprouted green again. Markets buzzed with life, and laughter cautiously returned to the streets. Yet the lessons of the past were not easily forgotten. Alaric's story remained a beacon, a question posed to every ruler and subject alike. What is the true cost of power, and what price is too high to pay for peace? In the halls of scholars and philosophers, his legacy sparked fierce debate. Was he a hero who put conscience before command, or a fool who abandoned his duty? The answer varied with the teller, but the respect he commanded was universal. Among the common folk, Alaric's name was more than a legend. It was a symbol of resistance, a whisper of hope in the darkest times.
And when the wind swept across the valleys and mountains where battles once raged, it carried the echo of his choice, a timeless call to remember that peace, fragile and precious, often demands the greatest courage. Time has a way of softening wounds, yet sharpening truths. The battlefield where General Alaric once stood is now cloaked in wildflowers, a silent testament to the lives sacrificed and the ideals fought for. His story lingers, not as a mere chapter in dusty tomes, but as a living challenge to those who wield power. Alaric showed that sometimes the bravest victory is the choice not to conquer, but to protect, not to dominate, but to preserve.
In the quiet moment, when the noise of the world fades, one might hear the whispered question he leaves behind. What does it mean to truly win? Is it the conquest of lands and enemies, or is it the triumph of justice, mercy, and humanity itself? The general who refused to win may have fallen, but his spirit marches on, an eternal sentinel guarding the fragile line between victory and justice.
May your rest be peaceful, and your dreams be filled with quiet strength.